Absolutely. No, there's no question about it. No, you've got to get
Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hi.
Come to Russ's any day and you'll see the same faces for the breakfast tray, at lunch, and dinner. These people are the regulars that mean so much to a successful restaurant. So, what's so special? Why do folks come here and why do they come back? It's our secret recipe. The recipe was developed a long time ago by a young fella named John Russell Bouse. The individual ingredients were discovered back in 1934, in the midst of the Great Depression. Money was hard to come by in those years, but somehow, young Russ Bouse, just 20 years old, managed to come up with $147. That was the price Russ paid for Doc's Barbecue on Chicago Drive in Holland, Michigan. It was from this little wooden building that the magic began to happen. A smile, a remembered name, a new kind of hot ground steak sandwich called a Hamburg, and it only cost a dime. A place as shiny as a new penny, painted and tiled, polished and scrubbed. Pride was reflected everywhere. The magic that made people come back was a secret recipe with just 4 ingredients. A warm family feeling, quality food, fast service, and sparkling cleanliness. With these 4 ingredients, people came back again and again and brought their friends and their families. And Russ's grew. At first, it was just adding some more chairs and building on a little bigger kitchen. Russ and his crew were up with the birds, with delicious hot coffee at a nickel a cup, a nice selection of pies and donuts, hot cakes, eggs, and sausages. The breakfast bill generally came to less than 2 bits. Lunch and dinner were bargains too. But most of all, people came for the secret recipe, the family feel, the quality food, the excellent service, and the clean, cheerful surroundings. Business was never better, and Russ has built a new building at Chicago Drive in 8th Street in Holland. The secret recipe continued its magic as cars lined up in the street and the boys in blue had to direct traffic. The architecture was leading edge. The tall, wing-like pylon and raked canopy fit right into our nation's growing love affair with streamlined automobiles. The building looked fast and had service to match. Customers felt the pride everywhere they looked. A mirror over the kitchen let kids see how the fresh, wholesome foods were being prepared to make the wonderful family meals. The pastries were the best in town. The soups were full-bodied, a meal in themselves. The prices made eating out affordable. Here's where high school kids dated. Business deals were closed. Families stopped for rest and conversation. Or people came just to be with others in a friendly place with familiar faces. You came here if you were hungry, hungry for fellowship or hungry for a good meal. The automobile had changed American life, and it was changing Russ's too. Car service canopies grew out the back. Here was room for 60 cars. Trays were brought to the cars and hooked on the doors, even in the wintertime. By the 1960s, Russ's sons, John and Brian, were old enough to join Russ and his brother Gord in the restaurant business, learning it from the ground up. Keeping the younger members of the Bouse family up to their elbows in the business meant the secret recipe would be continued across the generations as management responsibilities were passed along. And sure enough, the recipe continued its magic. The success of Russ's was clear to everyone, and people in other communities began to take notice. What was going on in Holland? Can you bring it to my city? The answer was yes, and Russ's continued to grow. Russ's franchise is spread across the western half of Michigan and beyond. The hallmark of each new Russ's has always been carefully selected people, a kind of team spirit, people with a common goal of excellence, people who care, people like you. To handle the larger volume of service, a new and larger commissary and bakery was built in Holland, where even more Russ's foods could be prepared under exact supervision. Wonderful soups and chili, fresh condiments, freshly baked breads, pies, and desserts that look as though they came out of a picture book. Of course, this is no two-burner kitchen like the first wooden building. Every day, this commissary uses hundreds of pounds of ingredients to produce everyone's favorite prepared foods. Foods that are delivered fresh, every day by a fleet of trucks. And in the midst of all this bigness are the stubborn, small-town values we call the secret recipe. You see, John and Brian grew up to management positions and have kept up the original ingredients that made Russ's successful. Over the years, Russ's has grown until today the restaurant chain provides jobs for lots of people. Cooking, order taking, busing, salad preparation, hosting, cleanup, maintenance, driving, baking, dishwashing, and the list goes on and on. For some, it's their first real job. For others, it's decades of smiles and service. And everyone does their job with the secret recipe, doing whatever's necessary to build a family feel, looking for more ways to maintain the excellent quality of the food, providing that little extra hustle that makes for top-notch service, and keeping a keen eye to make sure that everything sparkles in this clean environment. Russ's is more than a restaurant. It's more than a corporation with locations in several cities. It's a business with lots of people working together on Russ's secret recipe. Working together, you can help make Russ's a place with a warm, home-like atmosphere, where friends can meet over a delicious meal or a good cup of coffee, where children can delight in wonderful tastes and smells, with so much going on around them, so much to experience. Russ's is a tradition with roots in the past and promise for the future, because Russ's has a recipe that will always be in demand.